Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're floating alone in the vast silence of space. Stars behind you, darkness ahead. You keep moving forward, past planets, past galaxies, past the deepest black voids imaginable. And then you reach it, a place where time no longer ticks, where no light has ever touched, where even the laws of physics start to fade. What if the universe has an edge? Not a wall you can knock on, but a boundary, something stranger, something that changes everything we thought we knew. Because here's the twist. The universe is expanding rapidly. Galaxies are racing away from us in every direction, and the fabric of space itself is stretching. But expanding into what? What lies beyond the known? Can you actually fall off the universe? Scientists have theories. Some say it's infinite. Others whisper about multiverses and higher dimensions. But no one has ever seen the edge. No one knows if it even exists. And yet, we keep asking, because somewhere deep inside us is a need to know. How far does existence go? And what's waiting at the end, if there is one? Episode 3 takes us far beyond any depth we've explored before. Not beneath the sea, but beyond the stars. Out there, in the dark silence of space, lies a question older than civilization itself. Where does the universe end? From the first spark of the Big Bang to the outermost edge of what we can observe, we follow the trails of light, gravity, and time, searching for a boundary, a horizon where everything might stop, or where something even stranger begins. Ancient minds imagined domes, layers, and divine walls. Modern science speaks in curves, warps, and infinite expansion. But even with telescopes that see back billions of years, the edge remains hidden. This episode is not just about space, it's about everything, where it begins, where it ends, and whether there is an end at all. Long before telescopes or satellites, before science had a name, people looked up and wondered. To ancient humans, the night sky was a ceiling, adorned with stars, moved by gods, and bordered by the unknown. Many civilizations imagined the cosmos as a closed system, a dome over a flat world, a sky with edges. The Babylonians saw the heavens as a solid surface with holes through which starlight shone. In Norse mythology, the universe was held within the great branches of Yggdrasil. The Hebrews imagined a firmament, a vault separating the waters above from the world below. For them, the universe had an edge, not just physically, but spiritually. Beyond it lay chaos, or the divine. Then came the thinkers who dared to challenge the heavens. In ancient Greece, philosophers like Anaximander and Aristarchus proposed radical ideas. What if the Earth floats in space? What if the stars are other suns far away? But it was Aristotle whose influence would dominate for centuries. He imagined a finite universe enclosed by crystal spheres that carried planets and stars, rotating in perfect circles. Beyond the outermost sphere, the prime mover, something eternal, unreachable. Fast forward to the 16th century. Copernicus placed the sun at the center, not the Earth. Then Galileo raised his telescope and shattered the old models. Mountains on the moon, moons around Jupiter, stars too many to count. The universe was no longer tidy, it was vast, possibly infinite. By the 17th century, Isaac Newton introduced gravity, not just as a force on Earth, but a universal law. For Newton, space was infinite, eternal, and absolute, a silent, endless stage where the drama of motion played out. But it was Albert Einstein in the 20th century who rewrote the rules. Space and time weren't separate. They were part of the same fabric, space-time, and that fabric could stretch, bend, ripple. In 1929, Edwin Hubble observed something stunning. Galaxies were moving away from us. The farther they were, the faster they fled. This wasn't motion through space. It was space itself expanding. That discovery changed everything. It meant the universe had a beginning, a moment of birth, the Big Bang. And just like that, we were no longer talking about a static universe. We were now inside something that was growing, evolving, and possibly endless. But a new question emerged. If the universe had a beginning, could it also have an end? And more puzzling, if it's expanding, then what's it expanding into? That's where the real mystery begins. When we ask, does the universe have an edge? We're usually imagining something like the edge of a table or the end of a road. But space doesn't work that way. If you reach the end of a road, you step into something else: grass, dirt, ocean. But if the universe includes everything that exists, then what could lie beyond it? In cosmology, the edge isn't a place where stuff just stops. Instead, it's about how space itself is shaped. The observable universe, the part we can see, is not all there is. It's just a bubble, about 93 billion light-years wide, shaped by how far light has traveled since the Big Bang. Beyond that, we don't know. Not because it's not there, but because light from those regions hasn't had time to reach us. So when we talk about an edge, we're really asking, does space continue forever? Or is it curved back on itself? Could it loop like the surface of a sphere? The shape of the universe? To understand the edge, we need to understand the shape of space. There are three major possibilities based on Einstein's equations and cosmic measurements. Closed universe, like the surface of a sphere. If you keep going in one direction, you eventually end up where you started, like flying around the Earth. No edge, but not infinite either. Open universe, like a saddle or hyperbolic plane. It curves outward forever, expanding infinitely. It has no boundary and no loop. Flat universe, like an endless sheet. It stretches on and on in every direction, infinite, no edge, no center. Current observations, especially from the cosmic microwave background, the light left over from the Big Bang, suggest our universe is very close to flat, which means it could go on forever. But even in a flat universe, infinity is a tricky thing. Can the universe be infinite? Infinity isn't just a really big number, it's something we can't truly grasp. If the universe is infinite, then it contains infinite stars, infinite planets, infinite versions of you in every possible arrangement. Some physicists call this the infinite repetition problem. If space goes on forever, everything that can happen must happen, somewhere, again and again. But infinity raises more questions than answers. Can anything physical truly be infinite? If the Big Bang was a beginning, how could infinity fit in? Some theories suggest the universe is infinite in extent but had a finite start, like an infinitely large balloon that began inflating 13.8 billion years ago. Others propose that space is finite but unbounded, just like the surface of a globe. You can keep walking, but you'll never fall off. What's outside the universe? Now here comes the strangest question of all. What lies beyond the universe? The answer? Maybe nothing. Not empty space. Because space itself may not exist beyond the universe. Just nothing. No time, no space, no matter, no physics. This isn't something the human brain can easily picture. We're used to things being in other things. A box inside a room, inside a house, on a street. But the universe may be the box that contains everything, with nothing beyond it. Not even the concept of outside. Some physicists suggest our universe could be a bubble, one of many in a vast multiverse of other universes, each with its own rules. But even that idea just pushes the mystery one step further. Because then we'd ask, what's outside the multiverse? At first glance, asking whether the universe has an edge might seem like a philosophical distraction, something for dreamers, physicists, or sci-fi fans. But in truth, this question touches everything. It shapes how we think about life, our place in the cosmos, and even the boundaries of human potential. Let's start with something seemingly simple: technology. Every time we learn more about the structure of the universe, we unlock new layers of physical law. Einstein's discovery of curved spacetime didn't just change physics textbooks, it gave birth to GPS technology. Your phone knows where you are because satellites account for time dilation caused by gravity and motion. Imagine what new technologies might arise if we truly understood the shape, size, and fate of the universe. Warp drives, wormholes, interdimensional communication? Right now, it sounds like science fiction. But so did space travel just a century ago. Now, zoom out. Our current understanding of the universe tells us that it's expanding faster and faster, a discovery that led to the concept of dark energy. This invisible force, making up nearly 70% of the universe, is pushing galaxies apart at increasing speeds. If we don't fully understand how space behaves, especially at its limits, we'll never understand dark energy or how the universe might end. Could everything freeze in a big chill, rip apart in a big rip, or collapse in a big crunch? These are not just poetic endings, they're real possibilities. And knowing which is most likely depends on answering, what kind of space are we in? And does it ever end? But beyond the science, there's something even deeper, something personal. Every question we ask about the universe is also a question about ourselves. When we wonder where the universe ends, we're also wondering, is there a limit to what I can understand? Is there a purpose to any of this? Do I matter in something so unimaginably vast? It's humbling to realize how small we are. The Earth, which once felt so endless to early explorers, is now a tiny blue dot floating in an ocean of black. You could fit over 1 million Earths inside the Sun, and the Sun itself is just one star among trillions in the known universe. If you've ever looked up and felt overwhelmed, felt like a speck of dust in a storm of galaxies, you're not alone. That feeling has haunted thinkers, poets, and dreamers for centuries. But maybe smallness isn't the point, because we are the universe becoming aware of itself. Every brain, every thought, every telescope, every whisper of curiosity is the cosmos reflecting on its own existence. We may be made of stardust, but we are also made of questions. And the edge of the universe is perhaps the sharpest one of all. There's no cosmic signpost that says, "You are here." There's no border that tells us where the universe ends and something else begins. And that can be unsettling. In the past, we gave ourselves roles in neat, divine stories. Earth was the center. The stars were lamps placed above us. The universe was created for us. Now science tells us there may be no center, no grand plan, no final destination. But maybe meaning doesn't come from where we stand in the universe, but from what we choose to seek while we're here. Every time we ask what's out there, we're also asking what's inside us. Every time we search for the edge of the universe, we're pushing the edges of human potential. Here's a thought. If the universe is infinite, maybe there are infinite versions of you, each one living a slightly different life. In one, you're watching this video. In another, you're not even born. It's a dizzying idea, but it also means your questions, your thoughts, your voice exist across possibilities. And even if the universe is finite, even if everything ends, the very act of wondering is a defiance of limits. We are finite beings in a possibly infinite space who still dare to ask impossible questions. And maybe, just maybe, that's our most beautiful trait. For most of human history, exploring meant walking, then sailing, then flying. And now, we've taken our first clumsy steps off our planet. A few footprints on the moon, a few robots crawling on Mars. But that's not the end of the journey. It's barely the beginning. If the universe truly has no edge, then humanity's greatest challenge is not finding the boundary. It's learning how to live without one. In the coming centuries, we might develop propulsion systems that don't rely on burning fuel but on bending space itself. Imagine a ship not moving through space but dragging space around it. This isn't just science fiction anymore. Theoretical physics is already exploring ideas like the Alcubierre drive, a warp bubble that could let us travel faster than light without breaking the laws of physics. If we ever master such technology, the edge of the known universe will no longer be a limit. It'll be an invitation. Imagine entire generations born on starships, living, dying and evolving while drifting toward unseen galaxies. Massive orbital habitats, self-sustaining ecosystems rotating in the vacuum. Human culture no longer tied to one planet, but scattered across solar systems like seeds in the wind. In such a future, the question, where are we, might no longer be answered with Earth or Mars or Alpha Centauri, but with a philosophy. We are wherever curiosity takes us. And the further we go, the more we'll need to understand the universe's structure. A slight curve in space-time could make or break an interstellar route. A better model of cosmic expansion could determine how far a message can travel before it's lost forever. The fate of future civilizations may depend on what we learn now, while we're still on this tiny blue planet, trying to read the sky like an ancient map. But exploration isn't just physical, it's cognitive, it's philosophical. What happens when we develop instruments that don't just detect light, but patterns of reality we've never experienced? Dimensions folded outside our senses. What happens when AI becomes advanced enough to simulate entire universes, or when quantum computers reveal structures that hint at a deeper layer beneath space-time? Maybe we'll never need to physically reach the edge, because we'll be able to recreate it in data, in models, in thought. Or maybe we'll discover that the final frontier isn't out there at all, but within consciousness itself. If the universe ends, so will we, eventually. But if it doesn't, then the story of life is only just beginning. We are part of the first intelligent species, at least that we know of, to even ask these questions. And that makes us pioneers of a very special kind. Our children, or their children, might one day see galaxies we only read about in books. They might stand on the rim of a black hole or map the cosmic web that binds the universe together. They might even send messages toward the edge, just to see if something or someone answers back. We don't know what we'll find. But one thing is certain. To seek the edge of the universe is to embrace the endless. And to do that is to become something more than human. It is to become timeless. Imagine spending your entire life sailing toward a horizon, only to find that the horizon keeps moving away. You never reach it. You never arrive. Would you stop sailing? That's what it feels like to live with a question like, does the universe have an edge? Because the truth is, we may never know. There are limits to what light can reach us, limits to what we can measure, even limits to how our brains process space, time, and logic. So how do we live with that? How do we wake up every day knowing that some truths might forever be beyond our grasp? We face it with courage, with wonder, with curiosity stronger than our need for certainty. Not knowing doesn't make a question meaningless. In fact, it makes it sacred. Every great leap humanity has ever made began with a question that had no answer. What lies across the ocean? What is fire? Can we fly? At first, the answer was always no. Impossible? Unknown. Until someone asked again. Not knowing gives us space to imagine, and imagination is the first step toward truth. It's what drove Einstein to stare at clocks and trains until the theory of relativity was born. It's what pushed Hubble to look at tiny specks of light and realize they were other galaxies. It's what made us reach the moon, not because we fully understood space, but because we were brave enough to wonder. So maybe the point isn't to find the edge. Maybe the point is to keep searching. Because in that act, we grow. There's something grounding in knowing you live in a mystery. It puts your problems into perspective. Your deadlines, your worries, your plans. They matter, yes, but they exist inside a fleeting moment on a pale blue dot, spinning in a galaxy, drifting through a cosmic sea with no charted border. And yet, you are aware of that. You are capable of asking about the nature of infinity. That's not weakness, that's power. You are part of a species that questions the structure of reality itself, that builds machines to listen to the birth cry of the universe. that looks into the darkness and dares to ask, what's beyond? No other known life form does that. No other creature thinks in terms of edges, time, and being. So maybe the universe's greatest miracle is that it produced something, you, that wants to know it. So, where does the universe end? We still don't know. We may never know. But along the way, we've uncovered something far more valuable than a simple answer. We've traced the human journey from ancient myths and sky domes through scientific revolutions into an age of quantum fields, dark energy, and infinite possibilities. We've seen how the universe might be flat, or curved, or looped. Finite but boundless, infinite but unreachable. We've learned that space itself is not just a stage, but a living, stretching fabric, shaped by mass, time, and mystery. And most of all, we've learned this. The edge of the universe is not a line we cross. It's a horizon that expands as we move forward. It's a symbol of everything we've yet to understand, of every idea that hasn't been thought, of every question still waiting to be asked. The edge is not a wall, it's a mirror, a reflection of our own hunger to explore, to learn, to imagine. And maybe that's the point. Not to arrive, but to continue. To keep asking, even if the answer lies just beyond reach. Because in that journey, we become more than observers. We become participants in the great unfolding story of the cosmos. A story without a final chapter. A map without a border. A search without an end. And that might just be the most beautiful truth of all. If you've made it this far, then you are one of us. A seeker, a thinker. Someone who looks up and wonders what's beyond the stars and within yourself. This journey doesn't end here, because the universe doesn't stop expanding, and neither should our curiosity. So if this video sparked a thought, a feeling, a question that still lingers, let it echo. Tap that like button, not just for us, but to tell the algorithm this kind of content matters. To tell the world that people still ask the big questions. Share this with someone who's ever stared at the night sky and whispered, "What if?" Subscribe and hit the bell, so you don't miss where we go next. Not because we know the answers, but because we'll be searching together. And now we turn the question to you. What mystery should we explore next? Drop it in the comments. Suggest a place, a thought, a fear, a secret you've always wanted to understand. Because this channel isn't just about delivering facts. It's about building a community of minds who never stop asking.